Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे बजयो जयो गौरचान्दे आरती कुशोभा के बजय जय गौरचान्दे आरती कुशोभा जाह्नवी तटवने जगमनलोभा जाह्नवी तटवने जगमनलोभा दक्षिणे निताय चाँद वामे गदाधार के दक्षिणे निताय चाँद वामे गदाधार निकटे अद्वैता श्री वास छत्रधार वास छत्रधार के बद बछे असे गौरचाँद रत्न सिंहासने देवा बसे अच्छे गौरचाँद रत्न सिंहासने आरती करे न ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने आरती करे न ब्रह्मा आदि देवगाने देव नर हरि आदि करे चामर ढुलाय देव नर हरि आदि करे चामर ढुलाय संजय मुख मुकुंद वासु घोष आदि गाय संजय मुकुंद वासु घोष आदि गाय केवा शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल केवा शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे बाजे करताल मधुरा मृदंगा बाजे परम रसाल मधुरा मृदंगा बाजे परम रसाल शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंख बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे माधुर 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 बाजे शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे शंखा बाजे घंटा बाजे मधुर 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 बाजे निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताई गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हे बाबा हो कोटि चंद्र जीने वदन उज्ज्वला हे बाबा हो कोटि चंद्र जीने वदन उज्ज्वला लाला देशे वन माला करे झलमाला गाला देशे वन माला करे झलमाला शिव शुक नारद प्रेमे गदगद शिव शिव शुक नारद प्रेमे गदगद भगति विनोद देखि गौरार संपाद भगति विनोद देखि गौरार संपाद शिव जयो जयो गौरा चांदे आरती को शोभा जानवी तटवने जगमन लोभा जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरा भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की जय जय नित्य लीला प्रभु विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर सदस्य श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत गुरु वैष्णव वृंद की जय ब्रह्म मध्य गौड़ आचार्य वृंद की जय श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्रीजीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ सर्वगोस्वामी प्रभुवान की जय नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि श्री गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन की जय श्री श्री नवद्वीप श्री मायापुर धाम की जय पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय जगन्नाथ बलभद्र सुभद्र महारानी की जय श्री श्री राधा रासबिहारी ललिता विशा की जय सीताराम लक्ष्मण भक्त हनुमान की जय श्री श्री गौनिताय शुभ छंद आरती की जय प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सचिनंदन गौर हरि की जय समावेत गौर भक्तबिंद की जय गंगा माई की जय जमुना मैया की जय भक्ति देवी की जय श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की जय हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय जुगधर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय समावेत गौर भक्तबिंद की जय ऑल ग्लोरीज टू हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज श्री श्री गुरु गौरांग ऑल ग्लोरीज शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। नमस्ते नरसिंहाय नमस्ते नरसिंहाय
प्रहलाद प्रहलाद दाई ने प्रहलाद प्रहलाद दाई ने हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः हिरण्यकशिपूर्वक्षः शीलटङ्कनखालये शीलाटङ्कनखालये इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह इतो नरसिंह परतो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंह बाह्ये नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह बाह्ये नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव कर कमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुत श्रृंगार दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृंगा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज समस्त भक्ति विघ्नाशक श्री नरसिंहदेव भगवान की प्रहलाद महाराज की। हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्णा। हर रोज की तरह आज भी भगवद गीता का प्रवचन होगा और आज का प्रवचन देंगे हिज ग्रेस भीमा प्रभु। हरि बोल। और ये आज का क्लास अंग्रेजी में होगा। हरे कृष्णा।
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jasodanandana Prajachana Ranjana Jasodanandana Prajachana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Prajachana Ranjana Yasodanandana Prajachana Ranjana Jamuna Tera Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pribrajakacharya Ashtotarita Shishimad Abhay Charanarvindam Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Samstabhakacharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Namadi Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Maya Jamuna Maya Ki Jai. Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Shrimati Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavat Gita Ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavat Gita, Chapter 5, entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness, text number 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sannyasastu Mahabaho. Sannyasastu Mahabaho. Dukam aptum ayogataha. Dukam aptum ayogataha. Yoga yukto munir brahma. Yoga yukto manir brahma. Nachiran adigacchati. Nachiran adigacchati. Sannyasastu Mahabaho. Dukam aptum ayogataha. Yoga yukto munir brahma. Nachiran adigacchati. Sannyasastu Mahabaho. Dukam aptum ayogataha. Yoga yukto munir brahma. Nachiran adigacchati. Sannyastu Mahabaho. Dukam aptum ayogataha. Yoga yukto munir brahma. Nachiran adigacchati. Sannyasastu Mahabaho. Sannyastu Mahabaho. Sannyasaha, the renounced order of life. To, but, Mahabaho, O mighty armed one. Dukam, distress. Aptum, afflicts one with. Ayogataha, without devotional service. Yuktaha, one engaged in devotional service. Muni, a thinker. Brahma, the supreme. Nachidana, without delay. Adhigachati, attains. Translation. Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Purport. There are two classes of sannyasis, or persons, in the renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras, but use their own commentary called Sharirak Bhashya, written by Sankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavatam school are engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, according to Pancharatrika regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis engage in the studies of Sankhya and Vedanta and speculation, cannot relish the transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis, who are engaged in devotional service, are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into the material activities of philanthropic and altruistic nature, which are nothing but material engagements. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness activities are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple speculation about what is Brahman and what is not Brahman, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Gani Yat Kripa Taraham Bande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So, sannyasa tu mahabaho. Again, Krishna is clarifying what he already told in in this chapter in the second verse. He's giving more explanation. Here he says, the personality of Godhead said, the renounced order of work and work and devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work and devotion is better than renunciation of work. So in this verse, 5.6, Krishna's giving more clarity to that. So he starts out saying the renounced order of life, right? Dukam aptum afflicts one with distress, right? Why? Ayogataha, without devotional service. So renunciation without devotional service, and Srila Prabhupada explains more about it in the purport, it brings distress, because just renouncing something, our nature is to do work. 3.5, third chapter, verse number 5. Krishna says no one can be without work for even a moment, according to the modes of nature that we're in, whether it's passion, ignorance, or goodness. By that nature, we'll be forced to do some activity. So simply renouncing activity without devotional service, it can't make one happy. We won't be in our natural position. But Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain about Mayavadi sannyasis, how they study the Vedanta, and he compares it to the Vaishnava sannyasis. Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in so many activities, but those activities are not material. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Prakashananda Saraswati in Varanasi, Prakashananda Saraswati was more or less criticizing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why? Because he saw that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing and chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So when they met, Prakashananda Saraswati questioned Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came on the assembly of the Mayavadi sannyasis there in Varanasi, all the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati, he had many thousands of followers. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so brilliant, he was effulgent, and he came amongst these Mayavadi sannyasis, and he took a seat near the shoes. Right? So Prakashananda Saraswati, being attracted by the effulgence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lended him his hand. He said, please, you come and sit with us, because you appear as brilliant as Narayan. Right? The Mayavadi sannyasis actually address each other like that. Om Namo Narayan. Right? They think that by accepting sannyas, they've become Narayan. Right? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat with them, and he felt that since this sannyasi was chanting and dancing, he was a sentimentalist, and he didn't really understand Vedanta, right? But of course, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's the very source of Vedanta, right? But yet, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he began to describe what is Vedanta. And by the end of that conversation, all of the Mayavadi sannyasis, including Prakashananda Saraswati, they were all chanting Krishna, Krishna. They had become converted. Mayavad sannyas, the idea is study Vedanta. And if you're not studying Vedanta and the Vedanta Sutra, then you're on a lower level. But Vaishnava sannyasis are studying the natural commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada talks about how Mayavadi sannyasis become frustrated with the tedious work of studying Vedanta and Vedanta Sutra because they don't have activities. They don't have work in relationship to the Supreme Lord to perform. And therefore they sometimes also comment on the Bhagavatam. But their commentary on the Bhagavatam, they try to screw out some impersonal meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. But it's very difficult for them because Srimad Bhagavatam is filled with the personal pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his incarnations and his devotees. their dry speculation and their impersonal interpretation of Vedanta doesn't give them any taste, right? There's nothing for them to relish. In any walk of life, people are looking for a relationship for some happiness. They look for a relationship, right? When even students, when they go to school, right? When they're in the school, it's not just their studies that they do. They also look for what their friends are doing, right? What they're going to do on the way home from school. They're going to play cricket, or they're going to do something, right? So they're watching the time when school's out, so they can go with their friends, isn't it? Because it's based on relationship, right? So in the Mayavad school, they don't develop that relationship with the Supreme Lord. Whereas in the Vaishnavas, especially the sannyas Vaishnavas, they have so much activity, and none of it's material, it's all spiritual, to do in relationship with the Supreme Lord, right? So Krishna is saying in this verse that, yes, you can get the result by renunciation and study of Vedanta, but it may take a long time, because ayogataha, you're not situated in devotional service. But if you're situated in devotional service, you can get that result quickly. Nachidan means after not much time. Now, what exactly after not much time does that mean? A weekend? A month? No, we can't really say like that. It may also take some time, but not compared to the Mayavad or to the simply renouncing without devotional service. It may take a very long time. Bahunam janmanam ante. May take a very long time. Many, many births. Whereas Srila Prabhupada said if one is a sincere follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who tries to follow the process enunciated by the 6 Goswamis and the Acharyas, that in this very lifetime one can complete one's devotional service and go back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, Lord Krishna is saying, na chiran arigachati. Chiran, na chiran, means without delay. There won't be any detour. Sometimes in the Mayavad school, although they're talking about Brahma, Ham Brahmasmi, I'm Brahman, right? Still they fall from that platform and begin to engage in materialistic activities like opening hospitals, orphanages, or so many other welfare activities, right? Here they are propounding the philosophy that, we're spirit, or everything is spirit. We're not this body, but because they don't have the engagement on the spiritual platform, they come down to the material platform and engage in material activities. So, therefore, rendering devotional service is so much better for making advancement in spiritual life as opposed to dry speculation, dry study of Vedanta, the analytical study of the material world, to come up with the conclusion as to what is the ultimate goal of life. Although Krishna in other verses, in the verse previous to this, he said, yeah, both paths will bring the same result, but in this verse, he's clarifying. He's clearly saying that, yes, both paths will bring the same result, but the path of sannyasa, or renunciation, without a yogataha, devotional service, that may take more time. And with yoga, yoga munir, someone who's a muni is a very thoughtful person, right? A thoughtful person engaged in devotional service, they can get the result without any delay. So this is the sum and substance of this verse. Are there any questions? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So Prabhuji, as you mentioned that in this verse we read Mayavadis, they come back to material platform because they are not getting any bliss. So we also practicing devotional service, after some time we start taking things for granted, or that bliss which we talk about or we hear about in lecture, we don't experience that. So because everything is going in a mechanical way. So I'm not getting that ananda, and then I start thinking about my old life, my school days, college days. So what is the reason of this and how to overcome this, and so that I can relish all the activities and get that ananda which do not take me back?
Yes, the living entity is Satchit Ananda, full of knowledge, eternal, and full of bliss. So certainly in the Mayavad process, that ananda is missing. And what you're saying is that in devotional service, it could be missing too. Where is that ananda? The elusive ananda, right? Well, there's various reasons. Like you said, performing devotional service in a mechanical way. It's because we haven't established that relationship with Krishna, right? We're doing things, we're doing devotional activities, but we're not doing them for Krishna. We may have some other goal that's there. You understand what I'm saying? Some desire is there. We're performing devotional activities under the direction of the spiritual master, but we have some goal, right? If I am thinking, I want to learn verses and give nice classes so everyone will respect me and everyone will think I'm a great devotee, what do you think's going to happen? You won't get the taste, right? It's all about our intention of why we do devotional service. You know, people come for different reasons. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita clearly, some are in search for wealth, some are distressed, some are inquisitive, right? So that is in the beginning, but one has to come to the next stage also, isn't it? That I'm doing these activities not for any other purpose, but to please Krishna. Then that ananda will come. The happiness will come. So it's a gradual process. It can't happen immediately. Prabhupada gives the example in the Nectar of Devotion that when a lady gets married, she wants to have a child, right? She expects to have a child, right? But it can't happen immediately. She has to surrender to the husband and perform her duties. And in the natural course of things, the child will come. In the same way, by rendering devotional service, we want to get the result of Prema Pumarta Mahan. But we have to surrender to the instructions of the spiritual master and stay in association with devotees and get the proper goal fixed in the mind. Is that okay? And then there's other things also. That's why we every day we say the offenses, the 10 offenses to the holy name. We may be making some offense in our chanting, and therefore the ananda will not come, right? We're not so many times attentive to our chanting. We're chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna. You know, sleep comes, right? So if we're not attentive in the chanting of the holy name and not to commit offenses, chant nicely. Srila Prabhupada said, what is this Nish Nish Ram Ram, Nish Nish Ram Ram? What is this? What is that, right? We have to chant the mantra distinctly, using our tongue and upper lip, lower lip. Prabhupada describes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and chanting loud enough so I can hear and others, right? And in this way, gradually we can become free from offensive chanting. Offensive chanting is, it's good enough to get you to the heavenly planets, but that's about all. And the heavenly planets, although there are some Vedavadaratas that are very interested to go to the heavenly planets, not devotees. Just think about it. You go to the heavenly planets. When your pious credits burn out, you have to come back, right? So right now we're 5,000 years into Kali Yuga. If you went to the heavenly planets, you would live up there for about 200,000 years according to the, time of the demigods. And after that, you would come back to here and just see how advanced Kali Yuga is in just 5,000 years. Can you imagine what it'd be like in 200,000 years? It's a bad deal to go up and come down. It's like children playing in the lift, They go up to the 6th floor and then they come down, they go back up, they come down. Just time pass. So how important, chanting, try to get pure chanting is. We have one lifetime to do it, and it takes time to perfect our chanting so that we become free from offenses, we actually become absorbed in the holy name so that we can come to the platform of pure chanting. Even Namabhas is not going to, it's not so advantageous because by Namabhas one would go to, in the Harinam Chintamani it says go, Brahman realization. But that's available even for the demons that are offensive to Krishna. He killed Shishupal and he got Brahman emerged into the existence of Krishna. So what is that for a devotee? It's like hellish, right? We want to have our identity. We want to have our identity so that we can have this loving exchange with Krishna. Therefore, the chanting of the name of Lord Chaitanya is so important. Whether one's offensive or whether one's not offensive. If one chants, Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivasadi, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, the result will come. So we're dependent on the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for our advancement in devotional service. And we should feel like that. There are many devotees of Krishna, but they don't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, right? So chances of them becoming perfect in devotional service are there, no doubt, but with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, it's a lot more likely that we'll obtain, because he's Namo Mahabhanandaya. He's so magnanimous. He's giving love of Krishna just like that. So we're dependent on his mercy. And if you want Anand, well, there's so many different activities in devotional service. If you absorb yourself in the kirtan, listening to the mridanga and the kartals and the devotees chanting, that's where the Anand is, right? So kirtan is available. We can throw ourselves into the kirtan and experience the Anand, dancing. Maybe we don't feel like dancing, but if you start dancing in the kirtan, by the time the kirtan's over, bliss comes, isn't it? You had that experience, right? Bliss will come. Kirtan, prasadam, no problem there, right? Everybody's blissful at prasadam time. Nobody falls asleep. We fall asleep in the Bhagavatam, but we don't fall asleep in prasadam, right? So there's so many activities, there's so many things to do, so many things to learn in devotional service. I remember two devotees, they came from America and they lived in Vrindavan just so they could associate with Srila Prabhupada's godbrother. He had a godbrother that was living in the, not living, but he was cooking for the devotees in the Krishna Balaram temple. His name was Anand Prabhu. He's older, he's a brahmachari, from the Gaudiya Mutt, but he used to come and cook for the devotees. So these devotees, one's name was Gopati and Apurva. Gopati and Apurva Prabhus. So they lived right there and helped Anand every day cook for the devotees. And they learned so many things about cooking. It's an art. It's an art. Sometimes I feel that, that art is kind of fading away, the old style of cooking that was there, We get, like you said, mechanical and certain things. But so much is there to learn, how to cook, how to worship the deity, so many different songs of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to learn. And this is education. It opens our horizons to the different possibilities in devotional service that are there. It's real education. Is that okay? Any other points?
We say commentary is basically explain, like Bhagavad Gita commentary means the Bhagavad Gita shlokas are being explained. So when we say Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam is a commentary of Vedanta Sutra, what does it actually mean? Because Vedanta Sutra is like aphorisms, like Athato Brahma Jigyasa. And Bhagavatam is like different
pastimes
stories,
of the Lord.
Pastimes of Lord.
And it's also pastimes of the Lord's incarnations,
so like
and the Lord's devotees, right?
So how is it like a commentary? Like
See, what is the end result of studying Vedanta? Vedanta Sutra. Janmadyasya yataha. It's the first part of the Bhagavatam also. Janmadyasya yataha. Dhimahi. Meditation on the Lord. Understanding who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how to surrender to Him, right? End result of Vedanta, Vedanta Sutra. And Srimad Bhagavatam is it's a planned study program where one, starting in the first canto and going up to the 10th canto, becomes purified in their heart, and at the same time they establish their relationship with Krishna. That's the end goal of Vedanta. So studying Srimad Bhagavatam is described as a commentary on Vedanta, because it brings you to where you're supposed to go with Vedanta. The Sariraka Bhashya is an impersonal commentary on Vedanta. It's unnatural. It's completely unnatural. And Sankaracharya, who's an incarnation of Lord Shiva, came for a specific purpose. Because people, due to the influence of Buddhism and others, they were impersonalist, and they had lost their faith in Vedanta, the Vedic literatures. So Sankaracharya, he tried to direct them back to having faith in the Vedic literatures. But because they were impersonal, he gave an impersonal commentary. And later, the Vaishnavacharyas came and gave, the proper understanding, which is the personal understanding of the absolute truth. So yes, it is the explanation of Vedanta in a very practical application in your life. To have love for Krishna. But there are some schools that don't accept that, and they want you to have verse by verse, commentary, like Sankaracharya or Ramanuja. And they convinced the king of Jaipur that these Gaudiya Vaishnavas, they don't have this commentary. But they never felt the need because they have Srimad Bhagavatam, the natural commentary on Vedanta, right? But they were saying, no, 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 how can you worship? How can you allow, they were telling the king in Jaipur, how can you let them worship Govindaji? They're not bona fide. They don't have a commentary on this Vedanta Sutra. In order to be, they should have, like you said, verse by verse commentary, right? So the word came to Vrindavan. This was going on. At that time, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was there, but he was very old. So he enlisted Baladev Vidyabhushan to go and, deal with the situation in Jaipur. So he prayed to Govindaji and he wrote the commentary on Vedanta Sutra, right? And it's known as Govinda Bhashya because it was personally dictated by Govindaji to him, right? Later on, he wrote a commentary on Govindaji's commentary on Vedanta Sutra called Sukshma Tika, something like that. So that, if you want that, that is also there. You learn Sanskrit and study Govinda Bhashya, no problem. Yeah? And Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary on Govindaji's Vedanta Sutra commentary is also there. Sukshma Tika, Sukshma, like that. So everything is there. It's complete. But for the devotees, they like to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. It's so nectar. It glorifies the holy name, it glorifies devotional service, it glorifies the the Lord's form, His pastimes, His name. For the Vaishnavas, it's everything, actually, Srimad Bhagavatam. Any other points? Okay, thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi.